Imagine you're at your home in Virginia. You just woke up, about your morning coffee, when suddenly the whole house starts shaking. Meanwhile, you're down in Florida, wrestling alligators, doing like a bargain bin crocodile hunter impression. Or you're up in Canada, petting your pet moose or drinking syrup, whatever you do in Canada. And then you start shaking too. In fact, the entire East Coast is shaking. That's what happened in 2011 when a 5.8 earthquake struck Central Virginia. And that's what happened again every single time World Breaker Hulk took a step, threatening to destroy the entire East Coast. Who has the power to go up against that? Who can stop that? Well, look up in the sky. I'm not talking about birds, I'm not talking about planes, I'm talking, look, way up in the sky, up in the sun. Because sitting in the sun, there's a man who can take the monster on, letting his cells absorb the sun's energy, doubling, tripling, quadrupling in power of each passing moment. That's right, it's Superman. So today in the battle arena, well, it's World Breaker Hulk versus Sun-Dipped Superman. Who wins here is coming out on top? Well, let's find out. What's up, guys? I'm Daniel. This is DanCo. Thank you so much for watching the channel. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and turn notifications for more videos like this one every week. Also, go follow us on TikTok. Link in the description down below, and also sound off in the comments for any future videos that you would love to see. Now let's get into the fight. Okay, so at this point, everybody should know who Bruce Banner and the Hulk are. I mean, they've been in plenty of movies. They're in a TV show in the 70s, been in little kid shows, and a roller coaster and everything. You know who the Hulk is, but you might not specifically know who World Breaker Hulk is. Best way to look at it, it's the same thing as Hulk going Super Saiyan. It's just Hulk getting uncontrollably angry. And there are really two instances you can point to. At the end of World War Hulk, where Hulk learned that Meek, this little guy, had betrayed Hulk and led to the death of his wife and his unborn son and his kingdom. So you could say Hulk was understandably angry. Second time was at the end of The Incredible Hulks, where Rick and Jen are poisoned by Hulk's enemy, Hulk thinks they're dead, and he unleashes full rage. So basically, World Breaker Hulk is Hulk at his angriest, making it Hulk at his most powerful. Well, before we can take a look at what that means, what that truly means, well, let's look at what Hulk can do on just a normal day in his base form, which is actually easier said than done because there are so many different forms of the Hulk. So let's take a look at World War Hulk, where Hulk ended the vast majority of his fights with just one or two hits. People that used to be somewhat of a match for Hulk, they're no longer even close. He one-shot She-Hulk, one-shot Ares, nearly killed the Thing with just one hit, then went up against Hercules, the literal god of strength, and essentially dropped the guy with a 1-2 punch. And that's just a quick glimpse at his strength. What about his durability? Well, what about the time when he fought against Red Hulk? And Red Hulk hit him with a punch powerful enough to create a mushroom cloud. Just threw everything he had into that attack. And Hulk got back up and was just kind of snarky about it. To put that into perspective, see just how powerful that is. Red Hulk also fought against A-Bomb around that time, and was just casually throwing around punches powerful enough to create magnitude 10 earthquakes and trigger the San Andreas fault line. Like, remember that movie San Andreas, where The Rock fights against an earthquake? I guess that's what Red Hulk did with his punches. But how powerful is that exactly, you might be asking? Or you might not be asking, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Alright, when it comes to an earthquake, the seismic moment of the earthquake is the total energy. The seismic waves that stretch out really only contain 10%, maybe even 1% of the energy. In this example, the seismic moment is Red Hulk's punch. That's what triggers the earthquake. And as you can see here, that basically equals out to 19 billion Hiroshima bombs compacted into the size of a fist. That is an insane amount of energy. And Hulk took significantly more than that. Significantly more than that. And that's not all he took. Because what about the time where Hulk fought against his son Scar? And in one of the most epic Hulk fights of all time, took the infamous 100 trillion ton punch. Scar has the ability to manipulate rock and stone and absorb energy. And so what he did here was absorb 100 trillion tons of lithosphere, which is like the outer part of the earth, the upper mantle. Then he hit Hulk right in the chest with it, causing him to fly several miles away and destroy a mountain on impact. And fun fact, easy comparison. Did you know it's been theorized that the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs was also weighing 100 trillion tons? And you can see right here what kind of damage that would do. Bye bye, America. And so Hulk took that attack, an attack on that level. And what's he do but smile? He smiled in response, then proceeded to treat Scar like a toddler. Just a good old dad pounding the crap out of his son. What a lovely sight. And remember, you gotta remember through all this, that this is still just base Hulk. Again, I don't know what you're gonna call base Hulk, but I think it's clear that Worldbreaker Hulk is substantially more powerful than anything we've seen here. I know that for certain. Like I said, it's Hulk doing his own version of going Super Saiyan. So then what can Hulk do with all this rage, all this power then? Remember that earthquake we were talking about at the beginning of the video? The 5.8 that started in Virginia, it was felt all along the East Coast, from Florida all the way up to Canada. Well, you take that, and you look back at our earthquake energy calculator, and that seismic moment was the equivalent of almost 10,000 Hiroshima bombs of energy. And Hulk was generating all that with each step. In fact, he was generating all that and more, significantly more, because he wasn't just shaking the East Coast. He was threatening to literally destroy the East Coast, sink it straight into the ocean, just from walking. He sent Fin Fang Foom flying with a thunderclap, sending him hurtling straight through a barrier that mindless ones couldn't break through. Imagine that, turning a 20-ton monster into essentially a bullet. And not just that, but sending him flying through a wall that was holding back these things that have already beaten, overpowered the normal Hulk before. And doing that all with just clapping your hands together, just creating a shockwave. But you want to talk about a real shockwave? What about destroying planets and moons with a shockwave? That's what Hulk did when he fought against Red She-Hulk, his ex-wife, Betty Ross. I mean, dang, I know that's his fight, but that's a little bit extreme. That's a whole other level right there. So considering that the gravity on this planet is normal to Earth, it seemed normal for characters, nobody commented on anything being different, which means that you can put it at the same gravitational acceleration as the Earth. On top of that, the planet appears similar composition-wise like Earth or Mercury, which would mean it has a similar density. Add all that up, and the only mass this planet could possibly have is similar to the Earth's mass. Basically, Hulk destroyed Earth here. In order to do that, in order to destroy the Earth, basically counter its gravitational binding energy, you would need this much energy. That's more energy than the sun puts out every single day. But that's not all. Hulk's blast here was an omnidirectional blast, meaning that only half of it is going down into the Earth. So double it. Hulk was putting out actually this much energy. That's a multi-planetary feat. Which, I mean, clearly you can see them destroying planets and moons and several things here. But that's not all. You can do math to where you're scaling it up to a solar system level feat, like the equivalent of a supernova. That's almost too much. I don't know how to wrap my head around that one. Then it ties into his durability too, because Hulk wasn't just dishing out those kinds of punches. He was also taking them from Red She-Hulk, then took the blast itself. A blast that was vaporizing billions of beings, including enemies like Wendigo and Bybeast, who've given dudes like Hulk and Thor trouble in the past. And Wendigo and Bybeast amped by like 1,000. Hulk took that blast like it was nothing. Multi-planetary Worldbreaker Hulk. Worldbreaker Hulk who can throw out multi-planetary punches like they're nothing. How can Superman even hope to beat that? Well, I mean, he is Superman, Nothing's impossible for Superman. So I think starting out talking about Clark, I think it's only fair we do the same thing we did with the Hulk. See what Clark can do on a normal basis. Well, there's only one version of Superman, so we don't gotta sort through tons of different versions like Hulk. Nothing that Superman is doing is what you could call normal. I mean, Superman is clearly no stranger to moving and lifting around planets. I mean, he's moved just the Earth almost more times than I can remember.
Maybe I could move the Earth out of the way.
If we had a week, I couldn't list all the reasons that won't work.
Yeah, I think I agree with Batman on this one, but that hasn't stopped him from trying. I mean, just for example, he's pulled the Earth back into orbit along with Green Lantern, all while Starbreaker was trying to use his power to move the Earth into the sun. Which, I mean, dick move. Trying to kill everybody, trying to destroy the entire planet. That's not cool. I mean, I guess I get it if it's like one or two people you got a beef with. Still not cool, still illegal, but the entire planet? I mean, I guess also go big or go home. But luckily, Superman was there to stop him. Superman sent him home. So the Earth itself weighs 6.6 quintillion tons, or 6.6 billion trillion tons. That's what we're operating with here. Of course, then you gotta cut that in half because GL was helping here too, can't discredit Hal, so that's 3.3 quintillion. You can probably throw a bit more back in there because Starbreaker was working against them, but that's an unknown variable, so let's just say 3.3 quintillion, leave it at that. That's still not nothing. But you want to take that and make it even more impressive? Well, about the time where Superman bench pressed the whole weight of the Earth, all 6.6 quintillion tons of it, for 5 days straight, only barely broke a sweat. Wasn't even tired from it. The guy bench pressed for 5 days, 120 hours, 7,200 minutes, only one drop of sweat. I'm lucky to bench press anything for like a minute max, and even then I'm drenched in sweat, so I'm just blown away by that here. The fact that this is nowhere near his max rep. Because I mean, that's not even the most impressive thing Superman has ever done. Like, look at this. Pushing back Brainiac's ship. This is the size of that ship. That's how big it is. And then he didn't even just push it back with Martian Manager's help, but push it into a black hole and then collapsed that black hole. So let's work this out. Well, it's virtually impossible to figure out the actual mass of that ship. Because you don't know how actual big it is, don't know what it's made of, don't know anything about it. But we can just look at the size comparison between that ship and the Earth. And man, just let your mind run wild. Just take the biggest estimate you can think of, and then half it, because Martian Manager was helping here too. But even then, you're probably still underestimating the weight. You're probably still underestimating Superman. But we can actually look at closing the black hole by taking a look at the Earth and comparing it to the ship, particularly the ship's head. Then comparing the ship's head to the black hole's event horizon, we can get a rough estimate of the radius of the black hole. From there, we can find the mass of the black hole by plugging it into this formula, and then using Einstein's mass energy equivalence, we end up with this. So more than Hulk's planet destroying. Of course, there are always caveats, and Superman was actually amped with the power of quadrillions of lives when this happened, but still, it does show us what an amped Superman is capable of, what he can actually do, just when he's amped with life force instead of the sun. So what about speed? This is always going to be an area where Clark holds the edge over Bruce. But just how fast is Superman really? Well, just for starters, Superman can easily go faster than light speed. That's for sure a given. I mean, he's flown from the center of the universe to the Earth in just 60 days. A trip that would take light itself thousands and thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, we don't even know what the actual center of the universe would be, but just to get to the center of the Milky Way galaxy would take something like 26,000 light years. We can't even fathom how big space is, how far away the center of the universe is, how long it would take light itself to travel there. and Superman did it in 60 days, I don't think we can understand how insanely impressive that is. And he can operate in a fight just as fast too. I mean, even just besides doing stuff like punching Doomsday literally thousands of times in seconds, he's able to perceive and move within femtoseconds and attoseconds. Literally nothing in our universe is able to move that fast. I mean, just to put it into perspective of light, light can travel around the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. In an attosecond, from one end of a molecule to the other. And Superman can work within that space when he wants to, perceive events happening that fast. That's insane. Also insane to think that the Flash is still faster. That's a whole other thing. Okay, moving on. Next up, durability. Well, starting out, over the time where Hawkman hit Superman with the Claw of Horus, which, according to Hawkman, draws its power from the magnetic core of the Earth, meaning that he was essentially hitting Superman with the planet itself. Sounds a lot like when Scar hit Hulk with absorbing all that Earth energy, right? And while Superman might look like he was knocked out, he was actually just faking it. Because I guess that's something Superman does now, he fakes getting knocked out. Or what about the time where he was face to face with ancient devices that were causing massive earthquakes all over the world? Which, in order to do that, you'd be producing earthquakes bigger than we've ever seen before. The largest earthquake that we've actually seen was a 9.5 that hit Chile in the 1960s, creating massive tsunamis that lasted all the way to Japan and the Philippines. But it was never threatening to crack the Earth apart. These were, and Superman was taking them head on and doing it at the center of the Earth, just to throw a little extra on top. He was doing it standing in an area as hot as the sun and 3 million times more pressure than the Earth's surface. That's a whole lot like when Red Hulk was creating magnitude 10 earthquakes, maybe even better. He's been right there when two planets collided into each other, Apocalypse and New Genesis respectively. That matters because these planets are actually way, way bigger than the Earth. They might not look it, but they are. So you know how Darkseid travels around everywhere through boom tubes? Oftentimes our heroes go to Apocalypse through boom tubes too, right? Well, those tubes actually do more than just transport you from point A to point B. They also adjust for size and scaling. If you were to travel to Apocalypse without the boom tubes, like Supergirl's done this before, you'd actually be the relative size of an insect compared to everything else on the planet. So yeah, these things are big. He's also survived the shockwave of the explosion of this planet. And yeah, he was knocked out for a sec. He's actually knocked out by both of these things. He wasn't able to just stand there and take it like the Hulk did. But you gotta remember, all this is just base Superman. Normal Superman. So now let's throw him into the sun. So what exactly happens when Superman is exposed to the sun? So Clark's cells work a whole lot like a plant. They go through their own photosynthesis process. It's actually called the photonucleic effect. And as the cells absorb solar energy, they grant him those incredible powers. Closer to the sun, longer time they spend near the sun, the more powerful Superman gets. Yeah, it's basically him doing his own version of Super Saiyan. Now there have been a few times where Superman did this, sun dipped for extended periods of time. Probably most notably, when he stayed in the sun for 15,000 years and came out as almost a literal god, looking all gold and shiny. But there have been other times too. Two I really want to focus in on are Superman in Our Worlds at War and Superman in Justice League. So in Our Worlds at War, Superman is squaring off against Impurex, this massive cosmic entity who's got all the infinite power of the Big Bang. Seriously, they stress this a lot. The infinite power of the Big Bang. Then he's also fighting against Brainiac 13, who had absorbed Impurex's energy, and so was basically wielding Big Bang power too. And then Superman goes into the sun in order to fight all these guys. And the first thing he's able to do is just casually one-shot Brainiac drones. who had previously always been beating up on him. So just a clear power upgrade right there. But it only gets more impressive from that. He's then strong enough to push Brainiac's Warworld, a planet-sized spaceship, think Pluto converted into a spaceship, and push it through a boom tube. And as if it wasn't impressive enough to just push a planet around like that, Brainiac's ship was flying faster than the speed of light. It was powered by the literal infinite power of the Big Bang. Again, they stressed here that this Big Bang was infinite power, and Superman overpowered it. So I guess in order to overpower something with literally infinite power, you gotta have infinite power yourself, right? That's how that works, right? And last but not least, this one's a little sketchy. This one's a little debatable, so I'll say that Superman possibly survived not just one, but two Big Bangs. Also, cherry on top, one little detail to add. This Big Bang was supposed to be affecting around 11 to 13 different dimensions. So if Superman really did survive it, you can chalk that one up as a multi-universal feat. Wow. Second time I want to look at Superman sun dipping was in Justice League issue 25, when Superman took on the World Forger. So the World Forger is this being from the 6th dimension, the brother of the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and his whole thing is creating universes, all in an attempt to craft the perfect multiverse. So it's Superman's job to stop that, because creating a new multiverse really isn't in the best interest of the people living in the current multiverse. And so Superman begins to sun dip, starting at just one sun, then flying to more and more and more, until he's feeling faster and stronger, more powerful than he's ever before, feeling more than ready to take on the World Forger. And man, take him on he did. With just one super punch, Superman not only beat the World Forger, left pretty much a continent-sized hole on the planet, but he also cracked and damaged the 6th dimension, and destroyed the World Forger's masterpiece, destroying an entire empty multiverse that was stored within that hammer. And that wasn't from sun dipping for too long. Superman was hitting faster than light speeds as he was flying through those suns. He wasn't in them for much more than, a few nanoseconds, maybe? So what's that give us? Well, it gives us two essentially universal, actually check that, multiversal feats for sun-dipped Superman. You can maybe try and scale up Hulk's punch here, say that the energy he was giving out was actually equivalent to a supernova or something, try and make it solar system level, but you can't make it close to what Superman is doing here. And that's not even factoring in Superman's speed, which, I mean, even before Superman was sun dipping, was going to be leagues and leagues above Worldbreaker Hulk. Wasn't even going to be close. Now, do I think a normal Superman could beat Worldbreaker Hulk? No, not a chance, not even close. Superman's been knocked out by the shockwave of planets being destroyed. Just from the shockwaves, Hulk is throwing out punches powerful enough to destroy planets just as an after effect, just from the shockwaves themselves. Basically, Superman could be knocked out from the after effect of Hulk's punch, much less from the punch itself. Speed's still a problem, but simply thunderclap that problem away. Create those shockwaves that can destroy planets, that can knock Superman out. But Worldbreaker Hulk versus sun-dipped Superman? I mean, God, sun-dipped Superman is just insane. He becomes this thing that can, threaten universes just by being in the sun for a bit longer. How crazy is that? Yeah, I mean, there's really no way I can argue otherwise. Can't think of anything that gives Hulk the victory here, that takes the victory away from Superman. Superman is for sure winning this one. Superman wins. But what do y'all think? Sign off in the comments down below. Who do you think wins this video? Worldbreaker Hulk versus sun-dipped Superman? Also sign off in the comments. Who do you want to see fight next? Which video do you want to see next? Sign off down below. And finally, be sure hit that like button, the subscribe button, and turn notifications to join the FanCo army, and I will see y'all next time.